Video tribute to Susan Part 2. There's much to be said about Facebook, not all of it good, but I will be forever grateful to Facebook for reconnecting Susan and me. For the past 10 years or so, we have kept in great touch through Facebook, through iMessage, through text messages, phone calls, and through visits. We got together a few years ago when she was in Toledo, and we went to the Mayberry Diner, and we sat there, and we were there for hours. We talked and talked and talked and talked. She told me about her life, about meeting the love of her life, Linda, who she had just married, and I said, well, what do I call her? She said, what do you mean, what do you call her? You call her Linda. She's my wife. She told me about her their four kids, and who they were so proud of. She told me about her work after she left Arthur Andersen. All told, we were there for hours, and we closed the breakfast place down. We talked about gardening and growing your own vegetables and the importance of eating organic everything. After we left there, I took her to my mom's house to show her my mom's garden. And then we went to Kroger, and she showed me the organic aisle at Kroger. I mean, who knew? She later sent me reusable grocery bags, which I, to this day, still use. The bond that was formed when we were 14 years old was still strong. And Susan was still teaching me how to be a better person, a better human, a better friend. When Susan was first diagnosed with breast cancer, I was in disbelief. I mean, how could someone who treated her body like a temple be so cruelly betrayed by cancer? It wasn't fair, but in the years since, I haven't heard Susan ever say, why me? She attacked the diagnosis like a science project, and like her life depended on it, because it did. She researched everything she could. She researched treatments. She researched medicine. She researched drug trials. I visited her at her house in October while she was undergoing treatment, and I remember the visit well. It was right before the 2016 election, and Comey had just announced that he was reopening the email investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails. As we sat out by her pool, drinking water, we wondered out loud what the hell our country would look like if Trump got elected. I'm so sorry that we found out. Susan was more optimistic about her treatment than she was about the upcoming election. She had high hopes for remission, but knew that it was a fairly aggressive form of breast cancer. It was just a year later, I don't even think it was a year, when Susan called to check on me because I had just had major back surgery. She told me the cancer was back and that it was really bad shit. She made me promise that I would come to her funeral and support her mom. I responded that of course I would, but actually I had a few expletives, but I said I wanted to come while she was alive. So I did. I went out to California in April last year, and we had a great visit. She looked great. You would never know that cancer was eating away at her. We talked about her rock, her Linda, who took very seriously the vows of in sickness and in health. We talked about her kids and what incredible people they are. We talked about turning 60 and regret that she was unlikely to see her children grow up and be there for their trials, their tribulations, and their triumphs. We talked about my new grandson and the fact that she would likely never be a grandmother, which was a shame because she would have been a really cool grandmother. She told me if she felt well enough, she was going to try and go to Hawaii for the summer with her kids. I was so glad she was able to make that trip. Susan continued to study and learn all she could about metastatic breast cancer and cancer gene mapping. She gave me a tutorial when I called to tell her that a close friend of mine had just recently been diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. She offered to talk to my friend, hoping that some of what she learned might help someone else, if not her. I thought perhaps the last time I would see Susan alive would be at her birthday party this past October. What an incredible party that was. Great food, great costumes, great entertainment, great drinks, great friends, some crazy, some not so crazy. A very lovely toast by Linda, and an especially sweet toast by Fifi. It was really a blessing for me to be there that night with Susan and Linda and Patty and Cindy and their kids and all of Susan's friends. When I left that night, I turned back and I looked, and I saw Susan surrounded by her family and friends, surrounded in love, and I could tell she was happy. And I shed a little tear, but I too was happy. For the past month or so, I have felt Susan's presence in my heart and in my soul. A few weeks ago, after Mass, I stopped and lit a candle. John asked me who I was lighting the candle for, and I said Susan. I had voice texted her earlier that morning as I was driving to Cleveland to see my grandson, and I hadn't heard back from her, and I feared the worst. But she eventually texted me back and told me she was at the Oscars. The Oscars! Wow, only Susan. And boy, did she and Linda look awesome. Susan told me that Cindy had gotten her ready and gotten her dressed for the Oscars. I wasn't surprised. Cindy has always had an incredible, beautiful sense of style and grace. I mean, we knew that when we were teenagers. And I know how great Cindy has been and important to Linda and Susan on this really, really difficult journey. I smiled when Susan told me that they were in a limo and they stopped at In-N-Out Burger, the traditional post-Oscar hangout joint or meal or whatever. What a night for them. It wasn't long after that Susan told me that her latest treatment had failed and that there really wasn't much else that could be done, that they were trying a variety of things and hoping something would stick. Saddle up, little doggies, and ride into the wild, wild west, is what Susan said. You know, cancer may claim a hotly contested victory, hotly contested, over Susan's body, but it had no chance at all of capturing Susan's spirit or her soul. When I got the message that hospice had been called and Patty was on her way to LA, I sent Susan a text. I told her how much I loved her, and I asked her if she really wanted me to come for her funeral or if she'd rather I came now. I asked Linda to read it to her, read the text to her if Susan couldn't read it. Linda emailed me and told me that Susan wanted me to come. So I am coming, Susan. Please wait for me. I'm coming to say goodbye to the coolest girl I know and love. I am honored and I am blessed to call you my friend. Susan, go peacefully into the white light, the magnificent white light, and know that one day we will meet again, dear friend. I love you. God bless you.